Oh, there it is.
Are you sure?
Maybe we should turn on the mics, though.
Mine's on.
All right.
We got a few more coming in.
Shall we get started?
No, you gotta wait for the people.
Fine.
You gotta
Wait
respect
for
the people that
to come
wanna
on
come in to
Come on
learn
in,
the
everyone.
There you go.
You're going to regret it. Come on in.
Why is he so negative all the time?
Because I'm next to you. Oh, wow.
You're fired. I don't know what else to say.
Believe me, everyone will have a lot more fun if you guys interact with us. Trust me. Are we ready to go?
Yeah, we're gone.
My panelists are not ready. Are we ready?
We left
Are we ready,
already.
everyone?
We are.
Yes.
All right. Welcome, everyone. How's everyone's day one going of NAMM so far? Woo! Oh, come on. I know. All right, how many of you guys are pumped right now? Raise your hands. Woo! There we go. How many are ridiculously tired right now? Raise their hands. Yeah, that's me too. So, well, welcome everyone to this panel, which is how to make the most of brand partnerships. And so we're going to talk all about brands and all different kinds, both brands in general, how to connect with them, what you can do with them, as well as your own personal brand, which is just as important, if not more. But first, before we get into those, I think it should be time to introduce everyone that is up on stage. Emiko, I'll start with you. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
You're not going to introduce yourself.
No, I'll save myself for last.
Well, that's not really fair, is it?
Nope.
Hello. Hi. This microphone is very special. Woo, that's very weird.
My name is Emiko. I am a recording artist and composer. I'm also the head of Rose City Media Group here in Southern California, and we are a company that works primarily to facilitate brand partnerships and alignments between artists and music instrument companies and tech companies, high-end audio companies. I also work on the brand side of things, aside from, as Michael will tell you, having collected an inordinate number of endorsements and partnerships, including 3 new ones this morning as I was walking the floor downstairs. So I look forward to connecting with all of you and answering any and all of your questions, hopefully.
Wow, that's awesome. 3 new ones this morning. Working it.
It's the boot, Gabe.
The boot.
What can I tell you? Get yourself a boot.
They're like, we're so sorry. Here, have some free stuff. No.
Yes, the sympathy vote, man. No, kidding.
That's slide number 3. No. My name's Gabe Kubanda. I own Edumusication, used to own Epic Proportions Tour, and I'm an entrepreneur with my own company, Kubanda Properties, as well. And I'm a singer-songwriter, artist as well, and here to talk about music brand partnerships and entrepreneurship, and hopefully you guys get some good gems to use today and take it out on the floor with you, because this is where everybody's at. This is where all the brands are, and if you guys want to partner with them, what better place?
My name is Alex Lacey. I am from Eugene, Oregon, and by day, I am a student at the University of Oregon where I study how to annoy the hell out of people, which is better known as advertising. So by night, I am a music producer, content creator, podcaster, and my brand is focused on helping rappers speak their truth.
Nice.
Just rappers?
For now.
Not singer-songwriters?
That'll expand.
Not gospel, not R&B, not country?
He's very clear on his genre and his parameters,
Not
Gabe.
Eskimo pop?
What? As an Asian, I feel offended by what you just said.
We'll move on here.
In due time, my friend.
That'd be a cool genre.
And I'll be your wonderful moderator, Michael Zimmerlich, and I am the founder of 8020 Records, which is an independent record label. And we've worked with brands of all kinds over the years, in fact, to the point where we actually just launched our brand new creative agency, specifically designed to connect brands with creators of all kind, everything from music artists to streamers to podcasters, you name it. and I'm the host of a podcast called Creatives Prevail, where we interview individuals telling their origin stories of their careers. Everyone from I've interviewed Kevin Lyman from Warped Tour. I've interviewed actually there's a couple other interesting people that's coming up soon too. So I'm trying to think of anybody else I've interviewed. I've interviewed actually these two pedalists as well on my podcast. So all kinds of different people. All right, so let's get into it. So I'll start with you first. What would constitute a brand partnership? When you were talking about brand partnerships, what comes to mind? Yes, you.
Okay,
Hamiko.
sorry.
Looking at you.
What comes to mind in the sense of how do I define a brand partnership?
Yeah, how do you define a brand partnership?
Well, I think that there's a number of things to think about here. Especially at NAMM, a brand partnership for, I think, a lot of people would mean artist endorsement, right? And I use air quotes for this very specifically because there are so many people, myself included when I was getting started, that felt like an artist endorsement was going to be some sort of shortcut to fame, or it was going to put you on the map, or you were somehow going to become more credible because somebody was going to give you hopefully free stuff and pay you to use it. And some of that is true, but not the majority of it is not true or is not accurate in the way that it's still perceived today. To me and to the companies for whom I represent on the artist side and the brand side, a brand partnership is a reciprocal relationship that's for longer term purposes. So there may be an exchange of gear or components, but there's also, in exchange for that, what can we do for each other? Not just what can you do for me, right? Not just give me free stuff. Free stuff is great, don't get me wrong. But it's also, how can I be of service to you? Above and beyond, I'll post myself playing your whatever on social media to my 3,000 fans or whatever. What makes you unique that you can bring that to the table of the brand that you're partnering with to help them grow, to help your audience grow, and to help the community at large grow? So it's really about reciprocity.
Gabe, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd tag team on that for sure. It's definitely reciprocity. It's definitely a symbiotic relationship in a way. Most brands are probably bigger somewhat than one artist, let's say. Take a brand like Fender or something like that. They may have 1,000 artist endorsees, right? Or brand partnerships with artists at all sorts of levels. And so you may have a company, Yamaha, Fender, whatever, and where they need the artist and the artists need them. And your job as artist is to figure out how that relationship works for you. Just show of hands, how many of you guys are artists or songwriters or something like that?
That's a good number of people.
Yeah. How many of you guys work in the industry in other terms? Okay. And how many companies or brand people are here? Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. So
that's
artists,
nice to see.
wait, guys, put your hands up again for those who work in the industry and who are brand partners. Artists, these are the people that you might be wanting to connect
Quick!
with.
Run!
Pounce!
Lock the doors. Kidding.
They're going to regret raising their hands now.
So, I mean, that was kind of an interesting thing. There's a ton of artists. There's fewer brands, but those brands can help out multiple artists at once. They just don't have to have a one-on-one type of a relationship. And if you're really thinking about your artistry, what you're doing in the music space, your songs, your music, whatever you're doing, yourself as a brand, you can really kind of find some ways of making those partnerships real and meaningful for not just yourself, for getting free product and stuff like that, but also for longevity of your career, and also just being a cool person and meeting other cool people that have the same goals and want you to succeed as well. So there's so many benefits on both sides. It's really not a win-lose scenario at all.
So, I'm glad that we have actually some brand reps in here too, because I definitely want to make sure that we have both sides and what also brands should be looking for relationships out of artists. But Emiko, you mentioned before about it, free product is always nice, but it shouldn't be the reason for it. But also, you can do things with products that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting the product and just feature it on social media. There are other ways that you can get very creative. Yeah. With essentially a product trade, if you will, of something in return. One of the things that I really like to do, and I know we've done it quite a number of times, and gave you as well, is giveaways. Because with giveaways are great because you can get a lot of attention through those, and you can be doing not only overall awareness with the brand, but also you can be doing data collection. So for example, if you need to enter, you have to submit your email address, we can share that email list with the brand. It could be tagging, making sure that they tag them on social media so that they're getting social media engagement. There are a lot of things that you can do around giveaways. And one example that I would love to get examples, and it doesn't have to be giveaways, but just in general things for the two of you to think about. But how many people have heard of the company Liquid Death before? Raise your hands. Awesome. So Liquid Death is amazing. They're one of the most genius brands out there right now. They're absolutely incredible. And I worked in an organization called I Voted, and we just did a major event last year where we encouraged people to do voter turnout. And we reached out to Liquid Death because we were putting together all these giveaways for people who went out and voted early. And so we reached out to Liquid Death and see if they were interested in doing something, and they came back and said absolutely what we were thinking. And honestly, off the cuff, I just gave them a couple of ideas, and there was one that I really didn't think they were going to go for, but I thought I would put in there. And they actually ended up going for it. And they offered 666 cans worth of Liquid Death to some poor winner, and it was a lot of fun, and it was really good. It was great exposure for both Liquid Death and for I Voted for that particular reason, and getting in for a very good cause. But the reason why that happened was because I reached out to them many years ago, before they were even uber popular, and they had a program called Cans for Bands, where you can sign up as an artist, and they were sharing profits with the artists that were promoting their products. So we did that actually with one of the artists I was managing, and we did all kinds of fun posts. We actually, the bassist had their 3-4-year-old daughter holding a can of Liquid Death. It was really cute and freaking amazing. And but that's how we got that relationship going, and I just kept that relationship moving forward. Even though we didn't really do much for several years, we still kept in touch because you just never know what's going to come up in the future. So that's my fun example. Do you want to?
Speaking of Liquid Death,
yeah.
On a completely other tangent of that, my buddy from college did their theme song for one of their commercials.
That's crazy.
He scored and composed it, and he made this weird instrument like glockenspiel with some weird strings sticking out, and it was in some of their social media things and commercials and stuff. So that's another type of a connection with the brand, is doing creatives for them, and I know we're going to touch on this later, but two angles on Liquid Death. Go.
Absolutely. You want to give an example of something that you've done?
I
know there's so many.
I was going to say, I don't know if I can think of. Well, okay, well, I'll tell you something that I've done that I think comes later on, is when I started aligning myself with brands as an artist. One of the things that I noticed that was happening was that the brands and I had a very inherently unique communication about artist programming. And so a lot of times what's happened, 9 times out of 10 for me, is that I've ended up working not just as an artist on the roster, but actually working for the brand, either as artist programming, A&R, social media, creating all sorts of things to oversee how that brand executes its partnerships. And so I think this is not so much an example of this, but it is in the sense that once you're in with one, it's very, very good if you can learn how that brand works. So think past, well, I got my free thing, or I got on the roster, I'm now on their website, yay for me, but go to, what's their marketing strategy for the rest of the year? What does their 5-year plan look like? How do I fit into that? And how can I help other people fit into that? And as you get into the inner workings, what you find is you inherently start to find your value within the company. And with any luck, and with some clear and consistent communication, they will see your value. And word travels fast because we all, just walking the floor this morning in a few hours, I ran into at least 24 people that I know have switched positions in various companies, and we all know each other, and we're all friends, and we're all like, oh, you're over here now, you're over here now, you're over here now. But one thing that has not changed is how we got started and how we look for value in people and the people that want to be participating in that.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of cross-pollination, I would say, within the industry.
Incest.
So, yeah, that's
Well, it
another
is,
way
I
of
mean.
looking at it. Where, yeah, your guy at Shure may have gone over to Sennheiser or vice versa or whatever. They kind of stick in the same type of fields. You're like, wait a second, hey, I thought I saw you over here. But that personal relationship is still the same, and so you still have that camaraderie, and then you can build something new with whatever they're working on if it aligns. And so that's definitely been a story that's happened with us, specifically actually with Sennheiser, then going over to Shure microphones, stuff like that. Finding a unique tie-in as I really want to have all artists kind of envisioning themselves as
Either one of those works.
one of those two, as entrepreneurs. Like, we're all kind of entrepreneurs in a sense. We're not necessarily working for a corporation who's giving us a 401k. Maybe some of us are, maybe that's our day job, but we're still doing music afterwards. We're really taking care of ourselves. And so having that entrepreneurial mindset in whatever we do, has really, really helped me out in taking it beyond just music and taking it into the other realms of, business ownership and entrepreneurship that I've started getting into. A great example of partnering with a company, we did a big tour in Europe, and we got to tour all over Europe and Britain, and we were hitting up a bunch of schools and getting to play schools during the day, and then venues at night. And we ended up making a great relationship with a company that's here on the floor right now called Hercules. They're a DJ company. You guys know them. They have some great turntables. They also have some great entry-level products for beginners and entry-level gear. Since we were going to schools, we were talking with them and saying, hey, we're going to be talking with all these kids. They love music. That we want to do something, and we have a DJ coming up with us on this tour. It's an up-and-coming DJ, and we showed him some of their mixing boards and tables and stuff and gear. And he was like, oh man, I really love this. I can really use this. And so we were able to kind of bridge a cool gap with, having this DJ teach these kids how to beat match and create songs and do some unique stuff on these entry-level turntables. Also, throwing in a giveaway where each kid at every school would get a turntable and like a USB-powered turntable. That's all it was. You could plug it into any laptop. It was great. And that was a really cool, engagement. And then this morning I was walking around, saw the same guys at the booth, got to say hi, and they've got a bigger booth now. They're rivaling Pioneer. They've got some new gear coming out. Like, it's just great to see the success stories that are coming up. So it's not always linear. It's not always how you think it's going to turn out, but just following those relationships down, seeing what you can add, and seeing how those kind of things can kind of like come together is really, really magical.
I thought of one.
Go ahead. More
Sorry.
examples, the better, right? Everyone wants to hear
Sorry.
examples of these things, right?
Sorry. I was listening, I swear.
Nope.
What? We go way back, in case you couldn't tell.
This is not our first rodeo doing this, everyone.
No, it's, we just
At least the
decided
fifth time. I don't
we
even know.
decided
It
to go
sounds like it,
public.
though. It sounds like it, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I am very proudly with Hammond Organ, and I have been with Hammond. I think actually in February is going to be my 10-year anniversary, unless that already passed. It might have already passed. But before I was with Hammond, I was with Kurzweil Keyboards, and when I was living in New York, I was a huge Kurzweil fiend. And I had the wrong end of the stick when it came to endorsements. And I was sort of this yappy little artist that would nip at the heels of the Kurzweil team and just probably annoy the heck out of them. I'll be very honest about that. And I would go into the local Sam Ash stores on 48th Street when they were still there, and I would just sit down and play Kurzweil all day long, and I would talk to anybody that wanted to know about I didn't work at Sam Ash. I just would go there and play Kurzweil, and they'd be like, "What are you doing? We need to do a demo." I'll do the demo for you. Don't worry about it. Nothing ever came of it. I got frustrated. I got this offer from Hammond. I jumped ship, went to Hammond. I've been very happy with them. And it was put to me that Hammond was coming out with this new keyboard, and would I like to sort of be the face of, because it was more meant for singer-songwriters and not just for traditionally gospel or soul or blues players, but it was meant for another genre. And I said, yeah, I would really dig that. And what was interesting was that we needed places for it to be seen in public, not just on social media, not just in the Sweetwater catalog, not just in dealers like Guitar Centers and Musician's Friend and things. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I can show people how I use my Hammond and go around the country. So I took a shot. I called our marketing director and I said, what do you think if I went to all the Sam Ashes that I know the people at, because I used to go there and annoy the heck out of them, and I'm back, surprise! And thus a national clinic program was born, and I was the head clinician for 4 years doing nothing but that, running around the country, showing people how to write songs, how these new Hammond organ keyboards were working, and leveraging two relationships that I had. And so what ended up happening was Hammond started being put into more and more and more Sam Ashes. I think that's changed a little bit now since the pandemic. I think a lot's changed. But the idea was taking two what I would consider normally separate relationships that I had, putting them together so everybody was benefiting. Does that count?
That counts, I
Okay,
think. Does
I'm
that count,
done now.
everyone? There we go. Okay, we got some yeses there. Good.
Good.
So, Gabe, one thing that you mentioned before was the fact that you're entrepreneurs, as artists specifically, because both of you also run organizations and companies, but also you both have solo artist careers. And I wanted to actually reflect that, because one of the things that we actually don't usually talk about, we talk about how to build the relationship with the brands, but we also don't talk about enough about our own personal brand and why that is so important. So actually, I want to pass this over to Alex and talk about why is your own personal brand so important?
It's important because it allows you to dictate who you're speaking to. And a lot of it depends on your reputation. Your brand is, I've heard this a while ago, and it really helped me with mine, and that was your brand is your reputation. And that is everything, including your music. So yes, you can brand yourself as a musician, but it also counts as all of your hobbies. So for example, some of mine that I'm gonna start implementing is I have a really old Nintendo system. So I'm gonna start shooting videos of me playing it because that's gonna resonate with a certain level of my audience that is into that as well as my music. So it's all very interest-based, and then going back to what you were saying, the more you have a message of why you're doing what you are doing, then that will in turn help with brand partnerships down the line.
I agree. All right, so a quick question for everyone. Raise your hands if you hate posting on social media. Raise your hands. Okay, so that's one of the things I think Alex made a really good point about, is that if you find something that you really do enjoy and feel that's genuine, at least personally, I find that it becomes a lot easier to post onto social media if essentially is an extension of yourself. I know I've had that problem for a long time, and actually that's one of the reasons why I started my own podcast, because I realized I wanted to do I've always been on the representation side, and I wanted to do something that would develop my own personal brand. Not even just my company, not necessarily representing the artists that on the roster, but also myself personally. And I never was sure what that would be like, because I tried doing like TikTok videos, and they were fun, but it was hard to keep that up, right? Or constantly posting on Instagram, things like that too, which also can be really hard to do as well. But with a podcast, I just really like talking to people. I just like talking to people. like want to know what their stories are, where they come from, and so forth. So I built a podcast around that. And now it's easy. Now I have literally hours of interview footage that I now am editing down, and I can post those as TikTok clips. So I found what works for me personally, but based upon what I like to do. So instead of working for social media, I have social media work for me. So I want to actually now also bring it to the two of you to talk about, Emiko, if you want to start first, about personal brand, because I mean, also, your personal brand is awesome. It is.
I didn't. Oh, thanks.
Gabe's is too. I've also worked with both of them.
I'm sorry.
I managed both of them for a while, so this is why I can
This
tease
is the
them.
love I get, and I keep returning year after year.
I don't.
I know, why?
Don't pick up.
They
the
were
phone
teasing
next
me
to
so
man.
much in the
What?
green room, so this is revenge.
Okay, what was the question?
Why is personal branding so important?
Because otherwise you end up on this Yuckamuck circus tour. No, because I want to add to what Alex said about it dictates who you're talking to. And this is something that's really, really important. And I hearken this back to my experience with Kurzweil when I was annoying the heck out of the Kurzweil team. I did not know what I wanted at the time. All I knew was that I wanted to be a Kurzweil artist because Billy Joel was one, Stevie Wonder was one, the B-52s were with Kurzweil. Like, all of the people that I loved were with Kurzweil. So what? And I have a gentleman laughing at me right now because he thinks that that's funny. And you know what? It is funny. It is funny because I didn't have a direction. And it's something that took me years to kind of not just navigate, but reconcile in myself. Like, I just kept telling myself, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing, I know who I am. I had no clue. None. I never thought I'd be with Hammond. I'm not a gospel player by trade. I'm not a blues player by trade. I'm a singer-songwriter and a film composer by trade. You don't see a lot of us playing Hammond organ like as our main rig. But for whatever reason, that worked. And so the thing that Alex touches on here about dictating who you talk to is really, really important, because if you go up to, it's like dating. Are you going to go look for somebody because you truly feel like having a partner with common interests is going to complement your life and you're going to be able to bring something to their life? Or is it just, I don't want to be alone, anybody will do? People can smell desperation, and they can smell that rudderless, directionless stink, right? That's what it is. Let's be real. Well, no, let's be real about it. And so you're good, my friend. You're good, honey. You're good.
Checking.
And what happens is, yes, you may end up with less, because the funnel, right here, Alex, advertising language, the funnel will narrow, right? The funnel will narrow, but what you end up with is stuff that's really meaningful. And so honing in on what your personal brand is more important than you realize. I didn't realize it until super later in my career than I should have. And I have Michael to thank for a lot of that. No, it's true.
I appreciate that.
Well, it's true. And so this is where the word alignment and brand alignment comes into play, because it means that the brand that you're looking for resonates, your message, your own personal brand message resonates with their brand message. And there's that symbiotic relationship right there. And it's okay if they don't resonate with you at that time, because maybe it means that just in a few years, things will change for both of you and you'll come around to whatever the thing is that you were trying to do in the first place. But there's somebody, somewhere, something out there that's looking for you right now, today. They're probably downstairs or in the AAC hall. But if you're clear on what your personal brand is, you're going to be able to communicate and connect with them much more quickly, much more clearly, and for the long haul.
How many drummers in the room right now? Drummers do this exceptionally well out of any musician I've seen, developing their personal brand.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because you don't know who you're going to be drumming for next week. And you don't know if the lead singer is going to get all full of himself and cut you out of any of the deals or what, and you're stuck driving the bus and you're like loading in all the gear and you're like, man, I got to eat. I have to develop myself as an artist. Most drummers that are really, really worth their salt, they're really good at developing their personal brand as, I am a drummer. I'm not the drummer for this band. You know, yes, you can do that too, but a lot of drummers, as you know, at least when you're starting out and going through the ropes, you're going to be drumming for a million different bands. And so it seems like they have that. So I've just seen it play out a lot where drummers and bass players too, in a lot of scenarios, they're able to kind of cultivate their own personal brand a little bit easier because they've been kind of forced into that corner a little sooner than, say, a singer-songwriter or a lead singer or a lead guitarist or something like that. But so if you can kind of think about it in that term, developing your own brand as well is better for yourself in the long run. So figuring out what your own brand is sooner is better. And I think I joined you guys, and like I've figured that out later on, you know, as I've gone through the journey. And I've been in a ton of bands, and I was always the guitarist in that emo band, you know, back in the day, or I was the guitarist in this grungy band or whatever. And it took me a while to be like, no, this is me. I have other interests. I have other things I can write. I write songs for other people. I write my own songs, and they're my own weird, quirky, poppy version of whatever. And it's not any of the Justins, and it's not any of the other things that are out there. It's just me. And you can either like it or hate it. Fine, it's Gabe. And so wrapping your head around that and taking that kind of, step forward in your own kind of truth, if you will, and being okay with that, you know, it's been liberating for myself. And I'm a singer-songwriter, and I have 3 new songs coming out this year. Follow me on Spotify, Gabe Kubanda.
Literally, did you just say that?
Yeah, just plugged
Oh my
yourself.
gosh.
Did that.
You just
Oh my
plugged
gosh.
yourself. Alex, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, that probably this is basically summing up everything you just said, but Terry Crews, I saw a clip of him on social media. Oh yeah. He said, "Don't try to be the best, try to be the only." Which, yeah, I'm gonna let that soak for a minute. But that was probably like the best piece of branding advice for me, because I can say, I'm a music producer, but I'm the only music producer that has a Nintendo system, that still records the cassette tape, that still uses an old school MPC. That's what differentiates me from the next producer.
Right. I think, can I?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
You're making my job
Who
so
am I-
much easier.
Who am I
Go
kidding?
for it.
A lot of people are taught, I was going to say, first of all, stop going to panels, but that's a terrible idea, because thank you all for coming. Bye-bye.
Wait.
No. But what I was going to say was, you also want to make sure when you're developing your personal brand and when you're developing your own career that you're taking advice from qualified people. All of a sudden, when you're on this journey, everybody has a piece of advice for you, and it always starts with, well, you know what? If I was you, I would. Yeah, but you're not, so thank you. Bye-bye. Right? Yes, I won't say what I'm actually thinking in my head. And I think that's really, I cannot stress to you how important that is, because one of the things that we see happen, like I'm walking the floor at NAMM right now, actively looking for artists for a brand that I work with, because we're looking to expand the artist roster. And one of the things that I have encountered time and time again is this: hi, I'm insert name here, I'm age here, I'm from blah blah blah. My music is it's like if Ellie Goulding and Beyonce, but also Miles Davis and Elton John, but there's like a little sprinkle of Jay-Z in there, and I just and I'm like, I gotta go. This is not a thing. I don't know. Good luck to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. And what's so interesting for me is person after person after person that I meet that's doing that, it's like they enter this zombie thing where they turn it on because there are so many advice givers out there that tell people that's what to do. But if I'm looking for an artist, I want to know who you are. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning or at night, whenever, who are you? That's, for a brand, that is the most important thing. Who are you and what are your core values, right? And if you came to me and said, hi, I'm Joanne and I write spoken word poetry done to Chinese neo-soul jazz, and I really love horseback riding and I have a black belt in karate, I would be like, we need to talk. Let's go have coffee now. Because you know what, you're not everybody else. Like Alex said, you're the only one of that's out there. And so I encourage all of you to ask yourself who you are. And then be proud of that and be okay with saying it, because this is an industry where I think all of us want to fit in and belong, but the best way we can fit in and belong is to stand out. And a lot of us lose time trying to fit in when we should be sort of standing tall and blooming.
Yeah, you want to add more to that?
I mean,
Go on, keep it going.
I mean, just the words like fitting in means that you're trying to manipulate yourself into the confines of something else. So why fit into anything?
There it is. Panel over. Thank you for coming off.
Give him applause, everyone. Give him applause. There we go.
You get a cookie.
Okay, so we still have quite a bit of time, but before I ask my next question, does anybody have questions in the audience? I want to make sure we have time for all of you. So does anybody have any questions? If not, I'm going to pester them with other things.
There's one over there.
We only charge $20 a question. Venmo?
Yes.
Can I have it for free?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should have given her Cash App.
Cash App.
My question is once you've kind of established your personal brand and you're still finding issue with creating relationships, or you're kind of still hitting those blockages, or you're just not seeing, those kind of results that are coming in, where do you find the best places to kind of centralize focus on, to change, to switch, to maybe like figure out a different narrative to put out there, or, just how do you kind of alter your brand in a way that's still authentic to you, but is more inviting as well at the same time?
Well, does your brand involve like rusty nails?
No, but more just like a, if, like when you're differentiating yourself in that way, I guess. Like if there's 1,000 singer-songwriters out there and you're saying be the only, what makes you different than 1,000 other singer-songwriters that are the only two of you?
Well, that's I think as singer-songwriters, we can probably answer that. One is we have different hairstyles, which is also
Mine's by choice.
which is very hot. So is mine, actually. What were you implying there? Let's have that conversation later, shall we? I think that's where expanding on the idea of not just keeping focus on what you do and focusing on who you are, right? People will look at me and say, oh, brunette, medium length hair, plays piano, easily throwback to Lilith Fair, Sarah McLachlan, Tori Amos, Natalie Merchant, whatever, Sarah Bareilles, whatever. Not true. Maybe a little bit, but not entirely true. When they start seeing and hearing who I am and not just seeing what I do, that speaks for itself, right? And so I think broadening the message from just singer-songwriter to I'm a singer-songwriter. Additionally, and then find 2 or 3 things that really, seriously, that really resonate, right? Like I said, black belt in karate. I love horseback riding. I'm a synchronized swimmer. Like whatever, things that will make people go, oh, that is so cool. Because then they start listening to you differently. They start looking at you differently. They start wanting to know the whole story. And then you're not just another face in the crowd at that point.
Okay, Alex Redden first, so go.
To that, I think also sharing what you have additionally gives your fans another reference point. I mean, I'm not an artist, so I can't speak on this with high credibility, but it gives your artists or your fans another thing to relate you to. So for example, a lot of country singers, they may go horseback riding, or their family may own a barn. So if they're talking about that in their branding, then other people are probably going to relate to that as well. That's maybe not be the best example, but you get the idea.
And we all, I don't know, our framework is always in a box. Like, we put things in boxes so that we can understand things, right? It's like, okay, if you play a certain type of music and you say you sound like Nirvana, okay, I can picture that, I can understand that, and that can go with a certain brand that would go with that type of genre and that vibe, right? So it's not necessarily a horrible, it's not a bad thing to kind of fit within a certain framework or a certain box for certain needs, right? But you still want to be true to yourself and, yeah, be able to show those other interests and kind of show more of who you are as a person. I think a lot of that comes down to the relationship that you're building with the brands. Because at the first, maybe they are just hearing your song and, okay, they know you do a certain type of thing. And then as you go along and you develop with them, they start to learn other aspects about your personality, your loves, your likes, your hobbies, and things start fitting, on the side of that as well. And there's other things that kind of fit into that. So I did a little thing with a regional Ford dealership when I bought this Ford Maverick hybrid truck a couple years ago.
Ford.
Oh,
I thought you said Fort.
Ford.
Okay.
And I was like, well, yeah, dude, I really like this truck. It's a hybrid. It's awesome. I love it. And I've got this song called Let's Ride. Would you guys want to use it in one of your, things? And they're like, I don't know. Is it any good? Is the song good? I don't know you. I was like, yeah, here's the song. You can listen to it when you get home or whatever. They ended up listening to it, and they're like, oh, my God, that's amazing. Yeah, we want to use this. And so it was this thing of wow, I like this truck. I'm an artist. We went out, took the car that I bought for a ride, shot around it, did a little acoustic jam on the back of it. And it was just cool, and it was very organic. It's like, I have a cool song talking about riding, got this truck. And it was just very organic, and it wasn't, there's no teeth pulling involved at all. It was just like, oh, this fits, this is cool. So there's ways of kind of just using that personality and having something that fits with the ethos of what that company is, right? And finding a way to kind of put those together.
I'll add to that as well because, in addition to personal brand, we were talking about a lot about the relationship building, which is just as important, if not more, than the personal brand itself. Because again, sometimes a personal brand may not always resonate with the company, even if you think it really does. They have to see if it matches their values in return or their interests. But even if it does, they still don't really know you yet. So I've discovered, and I'm sure that everyone else can vouch on this too, is that if you start with something small, and it could be the smallest as being here at NAMM and going and talking to them at the booth and just seeing what they're up to. And that's it. Not asking for anything in return, just checking and seeing, what do you got going on? What's coming up in the pipeline, whatever the case is. I'll have conversations with them saying, how's your NAMM going? How are you doing so far? Did you get a rest in the last 5 hours? I just have a conversation with them because I want them to get to know me as a person. And that is my own personal brand in a sense, is that me just being very friendly with people and trying to actually connect with them and talk to them like a human. So I find that really does help because it may not be that immediate instant that I'm working a deal with them, but it may be the next time I see them, or the next time I see them, or 3 years from now. You just never know when it's going to happen, but if they already like you as a person, then you can go to them later on saying, hey, this is what I have now going on with this, would you like to be involved with this? And at the very least, if they like you, they're probably at least will hear you out and see if it actually works for them. So you just really don't know.
Oh, yeah.
So, any other questions? Otherwise, I'll have one more wrap up.
There's two
Oh, there's a
questions.
couple more. Okay, yes, you, sir.
One comment, one question. I'm so super excited to go through the rest of this, but thank you guys so much. Everything
Aw, thank you.
guys have said so far has been so resonant. Because I've transitioned so much over the course of my creative career, and it's just landed me in the position where now I focus on artistry over whatever that label is. Because artistry informs. If you're a musician, if you're an artist, if you're a cook, if you're a painter, artistry first, label second. So that's that. But
I agree, and I'm a label.
when it comes to not branding, but partnerships,
then I want to talk to you because I may have a brand partnership for you because we're looking for voice actors.
Hey, see, this is
Seriously,
literally how things happen.
dead serious.
By the way, this happens every panel. Like every time we have this, someone gets connected outside after, and
Yeah.
they get a job or they get a connection. So, and this is just another. So yes, continue, good sir.
How do you transition or traverse, I guess I should say? I use a bunch of different types of microphones. Depending on the gig, that dictates what microphone I want to use, depending on how I want to say or tone my voice. If I want to work with a brand, but I know that they're going to have competition in other fields, do you just select like, okay, this is going to be the one that I want to work with, I'm going to reach out to Warm Audio. I know that I use Newman, I know that I use AKG, but I like Warm, I'm going to reach out to them. Does that close you off from working with others in that competitive?
I can answer that.
Yes.
From
I was
the,
gonna say, you
from, the
would be
brand,
perfect for that.
from the brand side, because I have deals with all sorts of competitors, and they all know about each other. There's a couple of, that's a very, very good question. The first thing I would say is, because of the nature of what you do, your situation is a little bit different in that different microphones will serve different aspects of your career, and therefore it is vital for you not to have an exclusive. If a company wants to offer you an exclusive, they can offer you a price tag that goes with it that will make it worth your while. And that's I'm being very serious about that. Up until that moment, though, there is zero reason to address that. And what you can do out of respect and professional courtesy to the brands is to be very upfront with them. You don't have to volunteer it, but just be very upfront and say, listen, as a voice actor, sometimes the clients will ask me to use this type of mic or that type of mic. I remain open to all, but I only work with and I only align myself with brands that I truly believe in, that I truly love, and I won't just take any partnership. And so if you see these brands working with me, it's because I really love them and I advocate for them, and I will advocate for you equally. Right, and that's really important because they want to know that they're in the mix and they can be heard and seen just as much. And it actually plays to your character in a positive way if you do that, because what you're saying is, see all the quality posts and the quality promo that I'm doing for these brands already? You're going to get that, if not more. This is my track record right here. This is my proof of concept for you. You can see it's working. Let's go.
By the way, I love your hat.
Yes.
I didn't have my hat on. I don't have my hat
Did
on.
we notice that he's hatless today?
Yeah, I'm very hatless. I usually wear like a fedora hat as well.
Not okay.
Yes,
This gentleman
sir.
had a question.
Hey, my name's Chris. How's it going?
Hi, Chris.
Hey, I just had a question about dealing with consumer brands as an artist. Have you guys had any friction points when you're loaning out your personal brand to a consumer brand? Maybe your ethos don't line up, or maybe it's just a paycheck for you at the end of the day and you don't really believe in the product. Do you have any stories like that?
Yep.
Yep. Y'all are going to be here for a while.
Yeah, but it's okay. Like if that happens and further on down the line it doesn't work out and things kind of fizzle out or whatever, that's kind of part and parcel for the course. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna make misalignments that don't really always, jam well with the other party, and that's okay. Or those interests misalign over time, or other priorities kind of come in, and stuff. And that's fine. As, keeping it civil, keeping, the camaraderie good, the partnership, the personal connection good, even if the values don't align. We understand that. People understand that. So if you're like, yeah, well, I'm using this one keyboard, but then they went off and did this weird thing that I'm not really cool with, and this other keyboard has a feature that I really need for my new live show that I'm doing, or it has a looping feature that I need, or whatever. Like, they understand that, and so it's not like a nail in the coffin to where, oh, you're going to get blacklisted and you're never going to work with anybody ever again. It's just, hey, things didn't work out. Let's, part. We'll stay friends. See what comes on down the road. And brands do that a lot with artists. So, so it's usually the opposite way. So if brands are like, hey, well, we're focusing more on mid-tier level artists that have a certain sound. We don't necessarily, have a need for this right now. We can revisit it in the future. It's not at this juncture, and that's okay too. Hey, no worries, all good. Just as you said, I'm going to keep focusing on the artistry. That's one thing as I look back on my career, I was like, I was trying to do so much. I was driving the tour bus. I was booking all the shows. I was forgetting about writing songs, and so when I look back, I'm like, man, I really needed to hone in and focus on that artistry more. And luckily now I'm able to get back and be doing that in a much bigger way. But you learn those lessons. Sometimes they're hard lessons to learn, but just learn it, get over it, keep going, and that's what you can do.
I also think if that happens, one thing that's important to note is to remember that you can align yourself with a product or with a brand and not be fully aligned with them. And what I mean by that is sometimes there are companies that will make multiple versions of a product, and you're like, I like that one. I don't like the rest of them, but I like that one, right? And they want you to kind of go out and evangelize for all of them. All right, so you find a little feature on each one, and you just talk about that thing that you like about it. Everything else you can kind of, because the thing to keep in mind here is that nobody wants you to lie, right? First of all, lying is dishonest. It's bad business, but it also doesn't feel good. It's not of a proper moral agency and moral compass, and it makes for bad relationships going forward. And so, I've had plenty of conversations on both sides of the desk as the brand officer and also as the brand artist to say, listen, I really like this product, but I understand you want me to do a series about these things. Listen, I don't use those features because they're superfluous to me or because it actually doesn't work very well on your keyboard. So rather than have me talk about this and have it malfunction in front of a room full of a bunch of people, I'd like to focus on these things because I really like these things and I get energized when I talk about these things. It's going to bring you some sales, and in the meantime, fix this thing over here. And that's another very diplomatic way around it, because you can offer positive feedback to somebody, right, which they value, but you're also staying true to yourself and true to your own values, and you're sending a message out there that is authentic and that is that you can stand by at the end of the day.
All right.
More questions.
A couple more questions. All right, we're definitely running out of time here. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Rod. So once you obtain a brand or you have a brand that's interested in you, what are the legalities of it? Do you have to sign a contract?
Sorry. You sure? Okay. It depends on the situation. So some brands will make you sign a contract. It also depends on what endorsement or partnership type of deal that you're getting. So like sort of a tier 1 A-level artist is usually signed either to an exclusive, money changes hands, there's photo shoots and promos, and then I've been given and I've given out also specific types of language to use for media training. And we're very, very stringent about the language that people use when talking about the brands. And as artists, we go through media training and we learn that, so the messaging is uniform. But then there are brands that'll just be like, here's some product, go have fun with it, we'll throw you on the website, just don't do anything illegal and photograph our product in your crime and we're good. And then some of them will say, well, you can get an artist discount, like an artist accommodation discount, and that's it, and we'll throw you on the website, and when you have something going on, let us know, and tag us, and we'll tag you, and so it's very organic and very sort of low-key. So it really depends on the nature of the conversation, but there are sometimes legalities to it, and they can be quite hefty when they show up.
All right, well, unfortunately, we have to stop here, so I know. But if you guys want to talk to us outside, we just want to make sure we have room for the next panel coming up, so thank you all so much for being here.
Woo! Wait, are we able to get like a selfie with all of you guys? Is that
Okay,
cool?
real quick,
stand up and then
Stand up. Por favor. Mijitos.
Who's got the selfie? I'm not gonna.
I'll do it.
Let's do it. We gotta bend down here. Thank you, guys.
That hour went fast, dude. Well done. Oh my God.
Alex.
You were great.
Hey, you.
I'm so proud of you guys. Great job.
Hi.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, you know this drill. Let's not get in trouble. Let's get
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
We gotta run.
We'll be heading out there.